Almighty God, all knowing, all caring, loving God, we come at this hour thanking you for all of your bountiful blessings that you have so richly showered upon us. We thank you for this day. We thank you for strength, for courage, and the wisdom to walk victoriously in your love. We pray now that you would bless our coming together in this meeting to make wise choices for the city and the citizens of Helena, West Helena. Forgive us of all our sins and save us in the end is our prayer. In Jesus' name we pray, we give thanks. Amen. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular call city council meeting. Thanks to the press, IW, I don't know, Zoom, everybody's on Zoom. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Miller, Ms. Harris,
Present.
Mr. St. Columbia, Mr. Etherly, Ms. Davis won't be with us tonight. Dr. Miller. I have 4 present, 2 absent. Oh, this is from last week.
Okay. So, we're gonna call Mr. Calvin Murdoch for the water issues. The water department, sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, we're back in water. Again, we have water. We are still under the boil order. Hopefully, we will have sampled out by tomorrow, and we will have good news by Thursday morning. Been a rough ride. Been a rough ride. But I think there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. The folks have just really worked tirelessly to restore this utility. Somebody asked me the question today, had wisdom prevailed historically, and there had been the appropriate investments monetarily, as well as in humanity, incrementally over the last 20 years, then our trials would be fewer. Not that we would not have challenges, but I think our challenges would be much fewer than we're experiencing now. I don't want to rehash what you already know with regards to the system challenges, the age of the system, and just the lack of proper care and maintenance. But we are where we are, and I think we are doing what we can with all of the resources that we have internally and all of the resources that we have been able to marshal externally. Have a meeting tomorrow morning in Little Rock at 9:30 with natural resources to consummate the final pieces of the grant loan application process. And hopefully we'll be prepared to move forward and look at long-term solutions. And the long-term solution is, whether it's appropriate to make the kind of investment that's going to be required for total rehabilitation of that water treatment facility. We already have a piece of infrastructure in funding applications with natural resources for water line replacement. That's the $4 million piece that's been kind of hanging in the balance, that we're third in the queue should folks that were in the first funding round do not utilize all of those funds, and we're third in line. We kind of asked the question, gee whiz, what was the grading system that West Helena would not have qualified for funding in the first round? But be that as it may, we are where we are, and we have to go on and do what we need to do with what we have. Just continue to fight the good fight. I had one thing, and I don't know, I did not get a chance to review this with the mayor prior to the meeting, but I think you had a piece at the last meeting. I think they had $640,000 or so that we anticipate. And I characterize that as a Band-Aid, because that by no means is a permanent fix, but it will get us through this crisis that we're in right now. We are up and we're operational thanks to the resources that rural water has brought to bear. They've had people on the ground now for going on 3 weeks. And some of those guys are, they work like banshees. They work around the clock with our people, and we don't have to pay them anything. The only thing we pay them is a membership dues that we pay for being a part of the association. So that's a tremendous blessing that we have. The benefit of their knowledge and experience and their manpower to do the same things that our folks are doing. I want to challenge you again, and I guess I have to do this every time I see you, that we have to make the critical investment in the resource of talent and humans to operate and maintain the system once we are back up and operational. It's incumbent to know that it's only as good as the last time you turned your faucet on. We have to have people in place to make sure that things are done properly and in a timely fashion. And you have to make sure that the financial resources are available to get that done. Is there any questions you all have for me? Yes, sir.
Are your pumps working? Are your pumps working right now? You got all your pumps?
Which pumps are we referring to?
All the pumps that you came and talked to us about that you needed to get worked on. Fixed.
No.
All those pumps, are they working now?
No, sir. We do not have every pump working. We are operational in the water treatment facility. Those pumps are all working. We still have pumps that are not working on the collection system side in wastewater.
Pumps, are they working?
Those are working.
That's the question I'm asking.
Okay. All right. Those are working. All our wells are working currently. And
are you currently pumping water from the Helena pump well?
No, sir. We have not connected the system. We talked about it.
I know you talked about it.
We talked about it, but we thought rather than jeopardize the integrity of the Helena system with one system broke, we did not want to jeopardize, water to the hospital, the nursing home, the critical care facilities on the Helena side. We would want to wait until we have a reasonably healthy system on the west side before we would do that.
When could we expect the West Helena facilities to be back to normal in so much as drinking the water?
Well, we should be there by Thursday of this week, we should be off the boil order by Thursday of this week. That's the anticipation, assuming that all of our tests come back, in the affirmative, then we will be off the boil order.
I spoke to, I think I told you, I spoke to a gentleman from out of town. He was working here out on North 4th Street on that leak out there. He told me they had fixed 12 leaks that day. They fixed a lot of leaks.
Yes,
They
sir.
were using our water, wasting our good water there in West Helena.
Yes, sir.
And he told me they fixed 12 that day. We still have a lot more leaks to fix.
We do.
Do you have plans laid out to get those leaks fixed?
Well, we still have 3 crews that are fixing leaks currently. 3 crews are.
People.
We have our people, and we have 3 contractors that are fixing leaks right now.
Good, because those leaks are using our water.
That is correct.
Depleting our inventory of water.
Yes, sir.
And it's causing bacteria to get into the lines. It causes a lot of problems.
That's not true.
Sir,
That's not true. It's not causing bacteria to get in your line.
I can't hear you.
That's not true.
It's
Causing
not,
bacteria to get in your line. Is that, am I correct, Mr. Murdoch?
No, not a
We're
leak.
not gonna put that.
If we have a significant breach in the system, then there is a possibility of contamination, but a small leak that you see now, the system is pressurized so that it's pushing out and there's nothing coming in.
not coming in.
Right,
It's when they have a break.
right.
Right, I understand that.
Okay.
But you do have a plan laid out to correct those that we still have problems with.
We're fixing it. That's the plan, is to fix them. Yeah.
Start in mind, is there like a certain pot of money and then after other groups get it, then we?
Well, and I say that because that's the terminology that has been used by them to me,
Okay.
is that we're third in line if those funds that have been committed are not utilized.
Okay.
We're third in the queue. Okay,
And it is up to 4 million?
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions of me?
Mr. Murray, thank you for the good job you're doing for our water
All right.
department.
All right, thank you all. All right.
So the treasurer was in. We're gonna go into new business, landfill scale repair quote. I'm pretty sure we've had that for the scale, for the cleaning, and we're gonna do A and B cleaning. Calibration, the invoice, I'm pretty sure we had that invoice. I don't know if you had it in previous packages, but do you still have a copy of that? You still have a copy of those? It was an invoice for, it started out like at what, 5,000, the invoices? 8,
Council approved almost $9,000.
right,
But they ended up being there 4 times as long, and it ended up being like 40 some thousand. Cleaning that scale.
There are 3 for Fairfax, here. 3 different prices on, you were talking about last time.
yeah,
So that's a different thing.
It may be, I'm not sure.
So. We did one to clean the scale, and then Fairfax came in to adjust the scale, and make it work appropriately. And they gave us a couple of quotes on how that could be done.
yeah,
Between 24 and $27,000.
What that is.
yeah, these what this is, 21, it's 24 and 33. These were in your packet the last couple times.
Yeah, when you get the packet, I just.
So you all have had these for several meetings. So do you want me to give you all we're gonna make some copies, so I'll come back to this so you all can have the copies that you all need. Even the bottom invoice.
That was for the gas to get in this building. We'll come back to it. The Quatermom invoice, there was a gas leak in this building. And Quatermom Plumbing,
The Hoda Award invoice.
I believe it's Terry, the dad. Okay. Fixed that. Okay. And it was over $5,000. Okay. And I don't think we paid it yet, but. Yeah, we may have shut the building down a day or two. Did we close the building?
No.
We didn't close the building, but.
And so what, we just need to approve that?
How much was the bill for a long time?
$6,000 some odd dollars. It was over 5,000.
We just need to approve.
That's it. That's what that is. Yes.
Can we?
So what do you need from us tonight?
Approval to pay him when the money's available, but approval to pay him.
Well, I move that we pay the bills.
I say.
Ms. St. Columbia move, we paid part of Mr. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
St. Columbia.
Yes.
Dr. Miller.
Yes.
Ms. Harris. Yes. Mr. Etherly.
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yes.
5 yes.
D and E, we're gonna wait, we're gonna move to the next meeting. The city attorney is working on those.
On which time?
D and E.
Did you do Holder?
Yeah, she said.
He's working on the waive bidding ordinance.
No, on the audit for the water company.
Yes, sir. He had to do a waive bidding because it was 8,000.
Oh, that's what Andre were. Okay, I'm sorry.
So F, we had bids for the grass cutting. I set it on the table, and what I kind of want y'all to do is to approve those so people can start cutting grass. I've set those bids out. They went out and people are waiting to start. They can't start until we approve it.
Have we got bids?
Yes, sir. So I set it out on the desk. I wanted you just to approve it. So, because we already got the people, the lowest bids, they're in. So we're just waiting. I need you all to approve it so they can start working.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Make sure that. If I can get a motion on approval of those bids.
Can you tell us what the lowest bid came in?
I don't have a copy of it. I said on the table, everybody had a copy.
Okay. This is from last week. Was it last week's number?
Y'all would come back to it if you all would like.
So can we focus a little bit? So we're talking about this ordinance regarding property for the fire department, other related purposes. And so this is specifically for what 10 turnouts and self-contained breathing apparatus? Is that what this is for?
Yes, that was it.
Okay. And so that's what this is about. And the total estimated cost of the project not to exceed 68,000. So that's how much that's gonna cost.
Yes, ma'am. They applied to the Helena Health Foundation for funding and they were awarded the 68,000. The turnouts and the breathing apparatus are quite expensive. The city's match is $5,000, which the fire department will pay from their Act 833 funds. So it's not going to be any cash outlay to the general fund or anything.
What is this ordinance number?
It's going to be ordinance 6. And the reason we're getting it approved, it may take as long as 3 months to get that equipment in. And we needed to pass the ordinance before the vendor would order it to ensure that they're going to be paid.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion.
The money has been awarded us by the Health Foundation.
Yes, sir.
And our cost is about $5,000.
That's all that the Act 833 will be out is 5,000, which is the fire department's match.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'd like to put ordinance number 6, read the title only. Make a motion that we read that ordinance number 6.
The third and final.
Third and final reading. Yes.
And I second.
Mr. St. Clair would like to put ordinance number 6 on third and final reading. Mrs. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
St. Columbia,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yes.
Now we need a motion to adopt.
I so move.
Mr. St. Columbia moves to adopt ordinance number 6. Ms. Miller, you second?
Yes. I second.
Ms. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
5 yes.
So next,
Is there
minimum,
emergency clause on here? Is there emergency clause? Yeah. I move that we
Mr. St. Columbia moves to adopt
adopt
an emergency clause. Ms. Miller
Second.
seconds the motion. Madam, any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
Dr. Miller.
Yes.
5 yes.
Gonna move to G, minimum pay adjustment per CPI. Mr. Valley, you want to talk about that?
Let's do it on the next one.
We're gonna move that to the next meeting. H, proposed animal control ordinance.
We sent that text out, I think we provided, the council a copy of the last meeting to be discussed at this meeting, and that just depends on the council's readiness. I don't have it in front of me, but that was a big ordinance, huh?
This was for the dog pound out there.
Well, bigger, it's for animal control as a whole.
Okay, and what are we asking for now?
This is the discussion of a potential ordinance that's going to govern how we manage animal control.
Okay,
Yeah. But this one where you need to talk about specific language. And I don't know, Ms. Floyd, do you have a copy of that proposed ordinance?
I do.
okay, we need to look at it.
I'll make them. I read on mine, but I'll make a copy very fast.
Okay, well, she's gonna make copies, and we'll come back to that.
Okay. Yeah, we need to move on that. We need to take some kind of action.
Yes, sir, but it's not quite that simple. But
I know, but we need to start moving on.
yes, sir.
Next is I, Liberty.
I and J, if you would, we didn't prepare anything on those. Those were for the extra effort the guys did. We talked about it, but we didn't. We need a resolution, and we don't have one.
Zoom K, Zoom hack.
I think on that, we were just going to explain what happened at your last meeting. So you're not aware? Is the council aware? At the beginning of your last meeting?
I'm not aware. I'm not.
Oh. And I don't know the basis. I didn't see it. I don't watch the meeting, but my understanding that at the beginning of the last city council meeting, your Zoom account had been hacked and it was showing inappropriate images. Some have described it as pornography, and I didn't see it, but I'm just repeating what I've been told. And the guys that handle it, I believe, perhaps change passwords and things of that nature to try to avoid that occurring again. But we just want the public to know that that was not something within the city government that did that. That's about right. I'm talking to our technical people. Joe, you frowning up. So somebody took over our meeting last time and put up pictures, inappropriate pictures at the beginning of our meeting.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I didn't see that.
Oh, I did.
I'm glad I didn't. Huh. Okay.
So we're gonna move to L, bonding for municipal projects.
Oh, boy. Whoa,
You're gonna take L, bonding for municipal projects.
Yeah, the bond finance for municipal projects. I've been in touch with the Gill Law Firm in Little Rock. And they're waiting on some more information from us. I said we'll meet again next week. I just told them we wait till next week. Oh, is the council gonna meet next week? That's your regular meeting next week, the 18th, or whatever that date is. Okay.
We'll meet next week.
Pay adjustments.
See, Tuesday.
Did it staple?
Yeah, that'd be our regular meeting.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna talk about pay adjustments for the department heads, new department heads who have passed their 6 months probation. That is, for the landfill and street department. Those two, I think. So where is it? So you want to take things. So M, Mr. Valley.
Yes, sir.
Was on M, so payment just now, the landfill and the street department, those two.
What about it?
They moved, they didn't move position.
They're here to present. Look, I'm trying to get this Fairbanks scale thing. We'll just come back to it. We got 3 reports here, 21, 44, and 33,000. But you said on the landfill and
Street department,
all those pay adjustments?
yes,
Okay, you ready or not?
you can present.
Okay.
Because Bruce,
Oh.
license there.
The short on the,
Right.
we'll do the landfill first.
Right.
Mr. Simpson, if you would come forward. Mr. Bruce Simpson is our
This one here.
landfill supervisor. He's the holder of the Class C license. He's gotten that this year. We're operating based on his license out there at the landfill. And what we had told him was once he completed that and became licensed, we would adjust his pay. And of course, your budget resolution says pay can't be adjusted without council approval. There's a mild twist to the request for Mr. Simpson in that they're not fully staffed. They got 7 slots, but they may have 4 or 5 people. Then they got 4 and a part-time. Am I counting that right? Yes, sir. 4 and a part-time. We got Bruce, Tammy, Chris, Sammy, and the part-time. Right? Yeah. And so anyway, what Mr. Simpson has been doing is working quite a bit of overtime. And of course, if you move into salary, there's a disincentive in this at this point because of the amount of work needed, that you're missing staff and all of that. So what I suggested is that we pay him $17 and some change. I forget what the number is. The treasurer can tell you, and it's still allow him to draw some overtime until we get either fully staffed or the equipment. Now, that's the other problem. He's having to work so much because we don't have the equipment to do what needs to be done. The articulating truck, at one point we had 2, now we're down to 0 because the one we do have burned around the rear end. We got an insurance claim pending, but it's been out for about 30 days or longer. Our dozers, you've heard the story. I won't go through that over and over again, but we just have equipment problems. So even if he had 7 people, he wouldn't have adequate work for them to do in terms of not being able to use equipment. There's a limited amount that a person who's not running heavy equipment can do in a landfill. You can have litter control, that is, they're walking around, picking up paper, putting it inside the fence. They can cut grass. They can check meters. They can do some stuff, but that ain't 40 hours of work a week. Is that right, Bruce? That's right. And so what we're asking you to do on Mr. Simpson is to adjust his pay up. He's being paid right now equal to other employees whose names I won't call, since they're not the issue. I think $15.60 an hour. That's right. And so we're asking to move it to, Mr. Turner, you know what that figure is? That puts him just under the exempt amount.
I think it was 1710. I'm not sure about that. It's 17.
Yeah, whatever it is, we want him to be just under the exempt or the way of the exemption, either way, where he can get overtime because we just don't have adequate staff, and I don't want to put him in a position where he's working 78 hours a week because we don't have adequate staff, don't have adequate equipment, and then we're not paying him adequately for it. I believe the landfill manager salary is about 55 or 75. I don't know which one it is. But Bruce's salary right now is around 32. And so we need to make some adjustments on that. Is it 32 or
22.
It ain't. What's his salary, Tammy? You know? 32. Yeah, whatever that 1560, whatever 1560 amounts to, that's what his salary is. And he stands to be moved. But I think in fairness to what he's done in terms of the sacrifice to keep us open to this point, and we're constantly getting people who are trying to have your landfill shut down. I say that not to the council, I say that to the people that's watching on Zoom. We know who you are and what you're doing. And we're getting the calls from ADQ and they're trying to shut it down. Of course, we're doing the best that we can with the equipment and the options that we have at this time. And we're doing all we can to avoid that. But they're not just trying to shut down the landfill. They trying to sabotage the water department and other things. And I don't say that lightly when I say sabotage. I'm talking about people calling the governor, telling her don't give you guys no money because you guys not gonna do right with it. That's what they're doing. They calling your state senators, they calling your congressmen, they calling your federal senators with all of this negative talk about Helena-West Town, as opposed to saying, hey, we need some help. Will you provide us with the help? But back to Bruce, please pay him more than what we are.
So how many hours a week are you logging in overtime?
20 to 30.
And that's at how much an hour?
22.
Between 15 to 23, 40 over now.
So around 15 hours, and you said about 20 hours a
20
week.
to 30, yes.
The only, and I'm not at all against the raise. I guess what I'm concerned about is having the caveat that he would get the 17 and then still be allowed overtime. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I just don't want us to run into a situation where, you know, we do the raise and then we're still paying multiple hours of overtime.
I got you.
He's not having to work.
But if you were to hire an additional employee, it would be the same.
Yes, but here's the thing. Once we do that, then that's written in stone, right? You can't go back down and change. I'm not against it. I'm just asking the question. And if you have your license and all that's in place, I'm not saying that I'm not for it. I'm just getting clarity.
Yeah, well, the proposal is for both the pay raise and the overtime, unless you want to do a, like you're paying the fire department, $75,000 a year kind of thing. Because where we are is that he's the only one with the license. He does the bulk of the work that ADEQ was watching. The other guys work, sure, but the things that matter to ADEQ materially, Bruce is doing. That's not to say the other guys are not providing material function. They are moving trash. They're doing whatever it is that Bruce has asked them to do to an extent. But some of them don't have the same training. That's why he has a Class C license. Mr. Sammy has a Class B, and the other guys don't have licenses at all. They're heavy. You got one heavy equipment operator, and the other guys is paid like $12, $13 an hour, I think.
And I also put my personal vehicle in this every day since, for 6 months. Because I don't have no forward drive to get around in landfill, so.
Yeah, well,
That's a chunk there.
yeah, the landfill equipment, when we say it's bad, it's been bad. We got a 2007 Dodge pickup truck that we took down to the street and sanitation department. And we repaired it and it quit again. But it's a 2007. I don't know what, you know, it was worn out. They have an old court truck that they use, but they keep water in it to keep it from running hot.
It's a two-wheel drive.
And it's a two-wheel drive. The fire department loaned or gave them a, what that thing called?
Side by side.
Little four-wheeler like thing to go around the landfill, but it's not necessarily optimal. You need really heavy duty stuff in a landfill. And so he mentions using his own vehicle because sometimes that's the only vehicle that's there. But back to the money, you know, that's what I was trying to find a happy medium between retaining an employee who's doing a lot of work and our budget that we have available. And I think Bruce understands when he's fully staffed, he'd be salaried, there'd be no overtime, and whatever that salary would be set by you guys. But right now, we make him salary. There's a disincentive for him to do the things that need to be done, and we might end up closed. Especially with a small department, just 7 people, and 2 of them are married to each other. Yeah. So I just want y'all to have that full disclosure.
Answer your question.
So we have, I mean, we can do it, right? I mean, we have the money for it.
Can we do it?
Say what?
We have the budget for it.
You get the money for the raise.
It'll probably be about $2,000 raise. I think you can, if you guys decide to do it, this.
But this is
It's about $2,000.
this budget.
He's not asking for, you're asking him to keep the same position and just raise the rates pay.
Yes.
It'll be about $2,000 increase. It wouldn't have a negative impact. I mean, it's gonna bring it, you wouldn't go over. It's not.
I get nervous anytime I hear anytime, if you decide to do it.
Because city council decides to do it.
My preference is always in anything that has a long-term impact. I mean, it's not a one-time expense. It's not fixed this for $2,000. It's annual. That we have some numbers to look at, so that at least I understand what I'm doing.
I didn't know that this was going to even be discussed.
I'm not blaming you. I'm saying I'm not against the proposal. But when I walk out of this room, I want to know that the math adds up.
Well, I mean, you know, if they were about to do a calculation for an annual salary, you would use 2,080 hours. And so if he's going for 1,566 to close to 17, that's why I said it'd be a little over $2,000. I just get you a ballpark.
Yeah, I understood your calculation. I'm just saying we don't have the, like, what we budgeted, you know, versus what they've actually spent. They have equipment requests. Everybody has equipment requests. Everybody's equipment is not working. So what seems like small in the aggregate, because somebody else is coming to ask for a pay adjustment, and somebody else is coming, and somebody else is coming. And by the time we get through this year, everybody will have come. And so my preference is always, at least let's look at the landfill department. That's just me. I just speak for myself. So there's other people who have votes at the table. I just don't feel comfortable without having numbers to crunch and understand what the impact is going to be on the annual budget.
Table to the next meeting, so we can get you all the information that you need, so we can make that.
That's fine. I mean, we meet in 7 days.
So,
But again, I'm just one of, I see 4 other people here, so.
so if we'll be happy to get the information to you all. If we get the information with you all retroactive this, so that he could be paid for this week, which be retroactive. So if you all decide, which you all go back and pay him.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. If we do the adjustment, I don't have a problem with making it retroactive.
Because if and I apologize that we didn't have the information for you, but if we do that, I think it'll be fair to him at least just retroactive, so he'll know that if it's passed, he'll still get what he was supposed to get. So we can bring it back next week. I don't want Mr. Simpson to be like, it's another, whatever. And I apologize that we didn't have the information out for you. So we'll go back to. Okay, we're gonna go back to F. Yes, there's another one, pay adjustment as well. Street department.
The pay adjustment in the street department is for your street department director. And from talking with the mayor and what I understand is his conversation with the treasurer is at the beginning of the year, there was some a thought process that ended up not being what the mayor thought it was going to be. And so you end up with sanitation set here, street set there, and he was trying to levelize those where the street and sanitation department are paid the same. And if I'm saying that right, that there was some question as to who was going to be in place and all this kind of stuff. And there was some adjustments made in different departments, and that wasn't necessarily what the ultimate desire was. So the question now is whether the council set those salaries on par. At this point, the street director is being paid less than the sanitation deputy director by about $8,000 a year. If my numbers are right. That's what the budget was set at. Yeah, so that was, I guess, some 44, 45. And the sanitation is at 50. That's the treasurer now. What's the sanitation person at?
I don't know exactly off the top of my head. The only thing I can tell you about this situation is that I inquired about it, and it was my understanding at the time that there wasn't I was informed that there wasn't a street director at the time, so that's why the budget was set the way it was. I think it's about 44,000. I think, and so I think it was a discrepancy whether he was a foreman or a deputy director or a director. And the budget numbers that I received before February 1st, or it may have been on February 1st when we did it before the meeting. Those were the numbers that I got. I think we were such a crunch that the mayor just said we just need to present what we have right now, and then we'll try to correct it later. So that's what happened. But at that particular time, it was just my understanding that he was a foreman, I believe.
Yeah. So,
but I think it's around 44,000, and I
Right.
think the other one, the sanitation director, is like 53 something. So it's about a 9,000 somewhere in the neighborhood.
but there's an assistant that's higher than 44. That's at 50 something.
Yes,
What is that? Do you know what that number is?
I can go grab a.
That might be helpful.
I can go grab it.
In the sanitation department, technically you got two. You got one sanitation, one in street, and the one in street is paid higher than the director. And there's some, I guess, personal private things that we can't talk about in this meeting, but I'll tell you one-on-one in terms of the status and all of that. But there's an assistant to your sanitation director that's paid higher than he is. And that didn't come out of the budget process. That came out of, this is what we were paying him last year. So you didn't reduce his salary. If that makes sense to you.
I'm gonna throw this out here. I would really like, I know we can't do this tonight, we probably can't do it this year. But I would like to, at some point in time, have a visual of job descriptions, licensure that goes with each of those job descriptions within City Hall. Because I think it's easier to
Right.
look at something on paper and say, okay, this person is responsible for this. So accordingly, with licensure, they should be compensated.
Correct.
Versus we're just throwing out random numbers. I mean, I know some people have been grandfathered. I get all that.
Yes.
But I think going forward, we need to have something written down.
I believe Ms. Coates is working on that. And I have a draft that's just a few years old, but we can kind of work from that as well. But the treasurer is back. I believe he has some numbers for you.
Yeah, we actually do have, the 4-person in the street department makes, in the budget was 40,000. He had a 4-person in the sanitation department was at 53,560. So that's a difference of $13,560.
Yeah, and then there's another person, I don't know if he's in the budget or not, he came back. And I don't want to get too specific about his what's going on with him. But he's paid over 53 too. Sure.
Next week too, they have a little brief executive
Okay.
session.
All right. We'll do that. All right.
Thank you.
So move back up to F, or do y'all want to wait till we look at your bid, but that put the grass people off another week because we've had these bids out. Some people are trying to start. Well, I mean, we've been had on the table for the last couple of weeks, and yeah, the bids are on the table, bids and all the insurance and everything.
Who wanted to do it?
There was different people for different
Yeah,
areas. Okay.
so
There's two things that's kind of not on the agenda that we've been dealing with, trying to, and sanitation landfill, I know they want to at least talk to y'all about it. But before we get to that, the landfill, because of that articulated truck is out, we're trying to rent 2 quads, what they call it. I mean, 4 axles under the truck, so they're pretty big trucks. They're not articulated trucks. They're $160 an hour, and we're gonna do that for 2 or 3 days or 2 trucks. They left. $160 an hour. That includes the operator. So our guys will be running the tractor hole, loading the trucks, and then those guys will be moving the dirt. You haven't moved any dirt since your truck went down. So we need to do that pretty quickly, because we're subject to an inspection. So we ask you to approve that. And then the excavator is still being rented, because we haven't, the rented excavator is still in place, because we haven't replaced it with a purchase yet. So, you know, if they presented some stuff, and we so we'd ask you to approve another month rental, and I forget what the number is, about $6,700 on the excavator, and then approve the quad truck at $160 an hour times 2 for 3 days, and then If we needed something else, we have to come back. I don't think we can do that just for an extended period of time based on our cash flow.
And that $160 an hour is approximately how many hours for those 3 days? So like an 8-hour day?
I suspect it'd be 8 or less, but the landfill is open 7 to 3:30, so it'd be somewhere in that window. But it'd be whatever you all limited to. If you say 6 hours a day, that's what they'll do, kind of thing.
That's 12.
Would the council want to take any action on that issue?
On what?
I was asking, would they like to take any action on those 2 issues?
I'm trying to look through a previous agenda for an attachment. This is for garbage truck.
No, for landfill, for articulated.
This-
Articulator.
Huh?
Which one was $160 a day times 2?
No, this is brand new.
Oh.
This is $160 a day, $160 an hour,
$160 an hour.
times 2,
Times
2
2.
trucks
Uh-huh.
to come and move dirt in the landfill for the next
Oh.
3 days. That's what this request is.
That's one. And then the second was there a second?
The
The
$6,700.
regular rental for the excavator that you've been paying each month.
Okay. So moved.
Mr. Evans moves to pay the $67 a month landfill for the dozer and the $167 times 2 for the 160. Sorry, 160 times 2. Is there a second?
Second.
Miss
Can I ask a question?
Mrs.
Are we discussing?
Ms. Harris moves in second. Discussion.
So I think the last time we were here, the one of the dump trucks was working, right? Cause I asked the guy that was here, how long ago was the guy trying to sell the $700,000?
He been trying to sell us once in January. But
When was the last time?
he came here the last meeting about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. So the truck was working at the time. You said we had one truck.
The truck was not working. The truck burned.
Y'all said y'all had one truck was working. You stated that you needed 2 trucks. You need 2
That
trucks.
truck will eventually work when we repair it from the fire. So we got one truck that's technically good if you can repair the fire damage. The other truck is down the hill, it needs a motor.
Okay. So we haven't had any trucks for 3 weeks.
No,
So we haven't had a truck since the fire.
Okay. But no one said that we had a truck that was functioning during that meeting.
If they did, they misspoke.
Okay.
We only had the one and it burned and
Okay.
it's been down. I mean,
So is it being repaired? Is any one of them being repaired or can be repaired?
it certainly can be repaired. The power to the rear end, it's not the motor. There's some cables, some wiring, some stuff like that, as far as we know, until they open it up to see if there's something else. But the guy who was trying to sell us the Doosan, he said he was one of the people the insurance company was talking to about parts for it.
Mhm.
That's what he reported when he came to the meeting 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I don't know the exact status, but I know it's not repaired.
So nobody's working on it right now. Nobody's working on it. No one's working on it at the time.
I think they're trying to get parts and approval from the insurance company to pay for those parts.
Okay.
But it's still down.
I just want to say this about this landfill. I want us to keep our landfill open. There's I know it's a lot of back and forth. If you want to go out there and look at the landfill, I take you out there so we can look at the landfill. The landfill has been in trouble since the beginning of this year. If it's the end of last year and the beginning of this year, and it's still in trouble. And we're not trying to get our landfill shut down. I know everybody's worried about finances, but you got to spend money to make money. And I don't want to have our landfill closed down. We haven't been hauling dirt almost 2 months. I went out there when the truck caught a fire. The fire department went out there and put it out. We have not hauled any dirt. ADQs out there looking. So we're in critical times. And I promise you, I understand everybody right to say we want to save money, but I don't want to lose our landfill. It's a lot of things that we got going on. We got water, we got all these issues that you all are faced with, just like I'm faced with. So it's kind of like, who do you trust? What do you do? But one thing, the landfill makes us money. If the landfill is not in operation, we're in trouble. Just the same as water. So at some point we have to say, look, this is what we got to do. Hey, we have to cut, do whatever. We need to make sure our landfill stays open. That's how we make money. And if we ain't making money, we're in trouble. We got a lot of financial issues. We all know that. Ain't really beating the dead horse. We got to make some tough decisions on how to make sure the things that make this city money, we keep going. So, and that's where I am on it. I know some of us haven't been here, but the truck has been down for 2 months. No dirt, nothing. You gotta when you bring trash, you gotta cover the trash. Hadn't been done. So if these folks come down here, that's some on us. You got all these things going around in this community. One, you got somebody trying to recall your mayor. You got all these water issues. You got all these things going on, and I don't want to keep going back. But let's try to come to a happy medium and get some of this stuff done, so the citizens see that we're working together. It's a bunch of stuff that we can be arguing, fighting about. But I'm not with that. I just want to make sure we take care of water. It's crucial right now. Landfill is crucial right now. Sanitation is crucial right now. And all of us know how I felt in West Helena when you turn on that faucet and nothing came out. Yeah. We know how that felt. So I don't want to be in that issue. I don't want to be in the issue with somebody trying to shut down this landfill. There's a lot of issues going on in our community, and I hate that you all are here and have to deal with these tough issues, but baby, I'm with you. So if you all get hit, I get hit too. So whatever you all decide to do, we need to do it together.
I mean, I know we still need to deal with this issue.
Yeah, the truck fix, we're gonna do that. That's no question.
Okay.
We also asked you to buy a second truck, because basically what the people that work in the landfill are telling us that one truck is not enough anyway. You need two. Oh, they talking to each other. But yeah, so we're gonna get it fixed. Sandy, do you know the status of the insurance claim?
No, sir, I haven't heard from him.
Yeah, but
I think Ms. Simpson stays in touch with the agent.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the truck is going to be repaired, and this request for the 2 cars is for 3 days. You really need dirt moved every day. But this is so we can try to move a lot of dirt quickly, as a patch
To cover up the trash.
Yeah, and it's just a patch. You're supposed to cover your dirt, cover your trash with 6 inches of daily cover every day. Every day. And it's better when you do that. You can manage the landfill better and all those kinds of things. So we haven't been able to do that because.
And recently, with all that, we had our supposed to sabotage in our landfill. We don't know who to trust at this point. There's so much going on. We at ADQ with the water department, they was trying to tell us something about our landfill as well, how they have been getting calls about trying to shut our landfill down. Ladies and gentlemen, this is important. I don't know nothing about the landfill. Let those people who run the landfill, let those people run the sanitation department, water, all these departments, fire, everybody run them, they run their department. The department is running. I don't know how to, they do. I listen to them. And when I went to Little Rock about the water department, they was right on us about the landfill. The landfill, Mr. Valley, correct, was the next issue. It's going to tackle us on and ask us, what are our plans? And, the truck was down then. The truck burned.
$26,000 proposed fine for us for the landfill at that time.
These are issues that didn't happen, yesterday. They've happened before. When I showed you all the state of the landfill on the first week in office, when it had happened. These are issues, and I don't think nobody around this table in this community wants to see us lose these crucial parts of this community. Landfill, water, police and fire are crucial community. And the landfill is important to me right now because we have been getting hit since December. We've been hit with this landfill. And I think it's time that, whatever we have to do, we have to go over this budget and look at it again and do what we need to do to make sure that we can keep our landfill up. The landfill makes money for this community. So whatever we need to do, we have to do it at this point.
Well, I felt a gap in information and communication when Mr. Bradley made his presentation. And although I had my head down, I didn't hear it. I heard the landfill is unable to move dirt. I've been here for a number of years. And if the landfill can't move dirt, they can't stay in compliance. And if they can't stay in compliance, it's going to be shut down. When we consolidated, we were in the midst of the landfill being shut down. It's a tremendous loss of revenue as well as a tremendous cost going forward for us if it shuts down. So in my mind, the reason why my dialogue on that is not like it was on other issues is because it's just one of those things that has to be done. It's kind of like when the water system goes in, you just got to fix it. How much does it cost? Doesn't matter. We got to fix it. So when the landfill is not able to be in compliance, we just have to fix it. And so that's why I didn't have a whole lot of discussion about it once I understood what the issue was. We need trucks to move dirt. It's one of those things that we have to do, and I understand what's been going on. This is what I describe as my second trip around the sun. And there are people in this community. I've seen this before. I saw it when we consolidated. Who regularly, if they don't get their way, they will pick up the phone and they'll call the prosecutor, they'll call the governor, they'll call the National Guard, they'll call Jesus, they'll call everybody else in order to try to get their way. And there's a segment of this community that does that on a regular basis when they don't get their way. So I understand what's happening. People were at the landfill, they got in the condition that it was in, they left the landfill, and because they're not there anymore, they want to call people and say, come and shut it down. They don't have the best interest of this community at heart. So we need to do what we need to do to keep it open, operational. We can either afford to lose the revenues or can we afford to close it? So.
And I just want to continue with, my goal is just trying to get a status of the equipment.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. And so it was my understanding that we had one truck, but we don't. So I just want to just clarify the status of all the equipment we have. Right? And so with the dozers, how many, so are any of the dozers that we pay, that we own, are any of those function?
So hold on. Let's be clear on the truck.
Yes, sir.
We have one truck, but it's not functioning.
Okay.
We have a separate truck that will never be functioning.
Okay.
So we got two, but one is temporarily not functioning because of the fire.
Okay.
As soon as that repair is made, it'll be back in service.
Okay.
So that's the one.
Okay.
Now to the dozers.
Yes, sir.
We have 3 dozers at the landfill at this time. 2 of those belong to the city of Helena-West. They have not been quite functional. We authorized the landfill staff to bring in CAT at whatever they're gonna charge us to clear some codes. There was some mechanical work that had to be done. Bruce did that work. That's part of this overtime. He's our mechanic and everything else out there.
Okay.
And so he did the work, but the way they have it now, they have codes where their people have to come to clear the code. So they make money on any time you need maintenance work. And so once they come and clear the codes, those 2 should be back operational.
Okay.
But they were down before the truck went down.
Okay.
And the sanitation department was renting a dozer and loaned it to the landfill. So it's at the landfill. That's the third one.
Okay.
That's a rented dozers that's at the landfill. The sanitation department was renting.
So the 2 that you say were sort of functional, what is sort of? Can you use them at all or just not doing anything?
The 2 that
You can barely use them. They will move, but they don't fully make the move they're supposed to. They're not pushing trash.
Okay.
They're not moving dirt because they're not fully functional. They got codes. So they move real slow, like they sputter, that kind of thing. The blade doesn't lift or doesn't turn. It's so whatever the code tell it not to do, it don't do it until you pay CAT to take the code out.
What are we doing to get those fixed?
We called CAT to come down here and charge you an arm and a leg to fix it. And they're gonna take about 10 minutes. They're gonna charge you about $400 an hour to drive here. And then they're gonna spend about 30 minutes to clean the coat. And then for another hour to go back, probably.
But if we don't get them fixed,
But we had to do the mechanical work first.
Yeah.
We did the mechanical work. We ordered parts and did all that too. Yeah, so that hadn't just been sitting idle waiting on CAD.
but we got two that we own that we can get fixed.
That's correct.
That'd be my thinking to get them fixed.
Yes, sir. That's what we're trying to do. Understand now, we're laboring under a $90,000 bill from CAT for some work that they said they did, that the people at landfill said they didn't do. So, you know, it's one of those things when the mayor said you don't know who to trust, you really don't know who to trust. A $90,000 bill for a fairly new dozer is really ridiculous. But that's one of the things we're dealing with.
Okay, well, that's all. Like I said, I just want to know the status of the
And
equipment.
that's the other reason why we asked for the quad for 3 days, not for an extended period of time. We may come back and ask for 3 more later. I don't know. We got to move some dirt because we hadn't moved in a long time.
I understand. Did they give you any time frame on the two that we own when they may be functional again?
I had to ask Tammy. She made the call to them.
Okay.
And they've exited, which probably means there's some frustration about the pay issue. But she'll tell me what Kat told her. I just hadn't talked to her about that specifically.
I can call her tomorrow.
Yes, you know,
Okay.
she's very loquacious, so she'll share that with you.
Okay, thank you.
There's a motion to second on the floor.
Would you read the motion, please?
Madam Clerk, would you read the motion? Mr. St. Columbia, please.
Done.
What is the motion?
The motion was to rent the excavator for 1 more month for $6,750. And then to rent 2 articulated trucks with operators for $160 an hour. And for 2 or 3 days, working 8 to 10 hours a day, possibly, unless the council sets a limit on the number of hours a day they can work.
And the trucks are quad, it's 4 axle.
Oh, quad.
They're not articulated,
Oh, okay.
but those are pretty heavy duty.
I can ask for some clarification again. Now, she said excavator, we're renting the excavator. You said dozer. So we were.
If I said those, I misspoke.
Okay,
It's
so
a track hoe.
It's a track.
I think I said track hoe and she said excavator, but it's the
Okay.
same thing. Excavator and track hoe are the same thing.
Yeah, but you said we were renting a dozer, not just, you said we had 2 dozers that were working.
Oh, hold on, you had a different discussion.
Okay,
On the motion, I was talking about the excavator or the track hoe. The dozer that's being rented, these guys loan the landfill.
okay.
These guys are renting.
So we do have 2, we own and the one we're renting on the dozers.
Right, but the only one that's working is the one that's rented,
Okay, and now we're talking about the excavator.
and it's a small one.
Okay, all right.
And you need a big dozer in the landfill because of the weight.
So if we pass this motion, approve this motion, then we can continue on with the operation of the landfill. Okay.
Yes, sir. For 3 more days.
Madam Clerk, you want to call the roll?
Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
5 yes.
So we're gonna go back to the landfills, scale repair and the cleaning and calibration invoices. We'll go back to those. It was working then.
So the scale invoice, those are proposals to repair the scale. And it's just, there's differences between them, and we may need to just come back next week and let Tammy or Bruce tell you the difference in them. But one of them is to get you from having things that will rust and cause you problems and being just electronic, computer based. It'd be the same scale, but in terms of how it weighs will be different. What we learned when we clean the scale, that's the $40,000 bill that you don't see, but we got it somewhere. When they cleaned it, there's an area of the scale that sometimes weighs and sometimes does not. So it's sometimes cheating us and sometimes cheating our customers. But it's cheating all the time. And so you want to get this $21,000 to $33,000 fixed. We'll fix that such that the scale is calibrated and you can get your seal. You don't have your seal on your scale at this point because it's not calibrated to function properly. And we couldn't determine whether it could be calibrated until we cleaned it. And that was the first thing we proposed at $8,000, almost $9,000. It turned into 3 or 4 days. They just didn't anticipate it being as bad off as it was.
Well, we got the scale cleaned down.
Scale has been cleaned.
Okay.
And so we need to pay them for that. And then we need to fix it so it can be calibrated.
Okay. And if we don't get it calibrated, the state's gonna
That's
cause us.
That's another demerit with the state.
Okay.
Yes.
How did y'all figure out that it wasn't doing, how did you figure that out?
When the guy came to clean it.
How do we figure which thing out?
With
That
that
the
it wasn't,
calibration?
yeah, that it wasn't
Well, you couldn't figure it out until you cleaned it.
cleaned it.
So once you cleaned it, you had the company that calibrated to come down to
Test.
do their testing. And they
So all
brought
we
this,
need to do is get the company to come down and calibrate it now.
they come to calibrate it and they said it's broke. You can't calibrate it, but one of those 3 repairs will make it calibrated.
But we got that done.
We have not. We got to get your approval to get that done. And we got to choose between the 3 options, and I didn't look at them today, so I can't tell you the difference. But I will before next week look at them. 7 more days won't hurt on that. So I'll look at it so I can tell you the difference in those 3 proposals.
It looks like this for the 33, this intelligence instrument, upgrade, protecting load cells and all that. That sounds like the calibration.
Well, all 3 of them are going to be calibration. One of them may go back with what you have. Another one is going to be a more digital, as opposed to, it's got weights and measures kind of thing under it, balances it out, and it sends a signal into your computer. One of them is going to be just totally electronic, where water won't affect it and all this other stuff. The one we got now, rust and stuff like that, causes it to have problems over a period of time. And it gets water in it from rainwater, it gets water in it from the trucks coming on the scale, leaking leachate out of the truck. And so all of that. So we pump the scale like every day, because there's always some water down in there. And so, yeah, I'll look at those and get you better definitions as to what the difference in them is.
Yeah.
But I do know one of them is electronic, one of them is not.
Okay.
I don't know
So
what
what
the
do
third-
we need to decide on tonight?
We're gonna wait till next week on that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. In the sanitation department, we are renting rear load truck to try to keep up with the trash. I imagine you've gotten fewer complaints the last 2 weeks because we've been renting the truck. And at some point, we're gonna need your permission to keep renting it. We gave you a proposal to rent a truck for a month at $1,700 a week. The rental that we're doing now is $125 an hour. It comes with a driver and 1 operator, and he does Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So Thursday route, we kind of on our own. Yeah. So
Now, I want to say, remember before we bought some garbage trucks and paid $75,000. I told them it wasn't gonna work. 2 of them codified and 1 of them down at Mayville, and we still owe money for that. So I was constantly saying that we shouldn't have bought those 3 garbage trucks that we bought, but we did, and that put us in a lot of situations we're in now. Ms. Ramsey, we owe Mayville some money for 1 of them garbage trucks that we bought.
Yes.
I'm going crazy. One of them codified, so, and this is last year, and I'm just saying this, I think people said I argued, Mr. Ector, when I was on the city council, but I argued about doing the right things for this community. We want to holler about, they had been to 4 cities and they came to us on a prayer. And when they got here, I told them, the director then said I wouldn't know what I was looking at. But when me and the treasurer, am I correct? When we looked at it, what I told us is a bunch of garbage, but they said we had to have it. Paid $75,000 and 1 codified with 1 CDL driver almost locked the CDL driver in the vehicle. This was last year.
$75,000 for 3 trucks.
3 trucks. There've been the 3 that was on a war tour and Helena bought it. There have been several cities, Miss Miller, several cities, and I told them, they said then that I wouldn't know what I was looking at. I said, we could use that $75,000 and buy and put down on that truck. Did I not, Miss Ramsey? They said, no, you wouldn't know what you was looking at. I said, well, call me when the truck comes in. Me and the treasurer went over there. Joe Murphy brought the truck over there and it was clucking in. I said, it's a bunch of garbage. And we got the truck and a young man who came to drive the garbage truck and it locked him in the truck and caught a fire. He had to kick the window out to get out the truck. So we wasted some money.
Well,
But
separate from the
Yeah.
tour.
it was on tour.
Those were ASL, that's automatic side loader trucks, which come with a bunch of mechanical parts that sometimes fail. And so we're recommending whenever you buy a truck that you at least buy a rear load truck, where when the mechanical parts don't work, you can still get your trash picked up. Because the rear load truck that we're renting, the guy, he doesn't even have the cart tipper. It's just, they're tipping it over. The guys are doing it themselves, so. But it works, it's functional. And with our skill sets, I said this in 2010, with our skill sets, a real load truck. I know people say that's old fashioned and all that, but it works. It works. People don't care when it's old fashioned if they gotta get picked up. They care when they gotta not get picked up.
It works.
So that's that. So shall we continue to the Wednesday, Friday, 125 an hour, or should we rent one $1,700 a week? You have to rent it 4 weeks at a time, and the delivery charge was $1,700, $10,000 for 1 month.
I think it's cheaper to keep the driving and that.
Either way, you need their approval because you're gonna cross $5,000 either way at some point. The guy we got doing it now is $125 an hour. I think he may be doing a road drive. I think he's doing about 5 hours a day. Okay. So do that 3 days a week. In the course of a month, it's gonna add up. Our garbage, he's not doing the whole route certainly, but our garbage routes, we bill right at $5,700 a day for our 4 days garbage routes. So, yeah, we had one guy asked us what we bill, and his hourly rate was it $400 an hour or $500?
$5.50 an hour.
Yeah, but he was billing based on what we collect, as opposed to what he would be out of in terms of fuel and labor and stuff. Yeah, so I think the mayor wants you to approve what we're doing now. So,
And that is
the $125 an hour on an as-needed basis.
Okay.
That's what
No,
it is.
as needed. I thought you said, I mean, how many hours has he been doing?
He's been doing, he do whatever they wrote them say they need him, because sometimes their trucks are all up.
Okay.
But this week he's doing Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. He's available Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So, but you said 15, you don't mean he's doing 15 hours every week. You were saying that he could be.
Right, he did 1 day each of the first 2 weeks, and this will be the first week he's gonna do 3 days.
But he's not on a set schedule. I guess that's what I'm asking. He's not on a set schedule. You're just using him as needed.
As needed. He's available Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay.
Because he runs his own garbage route on Monday and Thursday down in some part of Mississippi. And he came to us. He's one of our landfill customers. He, as well as other people were landfill customers. And we asked them if they could help us and what they would charge. And he was the cheapest and the quickest to respond in terms of showing up. So y'all may have seen it. It's an older truck. I mean, it ain't a glamorous truck. Yeah. Brother, while you were gone, how many days is wash seller doing? How many? You do about 5 hours a day. And he did 1 day each week, right? And then we're gonna have him 3 days. Right. He did 2 days. So he did 1 day and then he did 2, and then this week he's gonna do 3. Yeah. Well, we're asking for authority to keep using wash or to run a truck, and then the council is trying to decide what's best. This is.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Miller moves that we continue with the 3-day with Mr. Wash Sellers and how much an hour?
$125.
$125 an hour as on an as needed basis. Mrs. Harris seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
5 yes.
All right. Now, item N, with Jennifer Hadlock and Scott Smith requested to be on the agenda. My understanding, the request came in this week, and it's up to the council whether they do it this week or next week. Generally, you have to make the request before, like Thursday before the meeting, so that we put them on next week's agenda. And I know I see Scott. I don't know Jennifer by name.
Right there.
Okay, that's Jennifer. So they both are here, but and I think the note I got said something about water. So I don't know if the council wants to deal with that this week or next week. But I put it on there because I got a message from Ms. Ramsey, and I've been preparing the agenda.
You all like to?
Huh?
You're here, so.
So y'all are here, they'll come forward. It's the Scott Smith and Mr. Jennifer Hadlock.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, we come to, just, offer our assistance as citizens of this community. However, we've been doing research on funding for water and, possibly getting, the money to do a whole new water system. So, we think it's really important. We understand that, we've been going through a lot lately. So, Jennifer and I are putting together some things, and we just wanted to, see if there was anything that you all want to add to or suggest that we do as citizens to, help fix our problem that we have with water. Jennifer has things she wanted.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm new to town, but we've been meeting with folks from the Marvel area, Lakeview, Elaine, and Helena-West Helena, and thinking about what we could do about water. This was before the immediate last crisis that happened. And especially since the governor has announced that there's $1 billion surplus, it seems like it might be an appropriate moment for her to pay attention to our area and to provide funding in order to really redo the whole water system, like what Mr. Murdoch has been talking about. And we've spoken with some of the other communities, and they are also interested. So we came to see what you all thought about that idea. And we didn't want to overstep, but we were thinking about doing a petition to get the community on board.
We all get, sounds good.
Yes.
Community.
Right.
We can do things as city council, but it has to be a community
Yes.
thing. And I
Okay.
think that would be wonderful.
So community, we would love for you to be on board, but we wanted to make sure that we weren't overstepping or.
That's correct.
Sounds good.
So do you need anything from us?
Okay, well, at this time, no, we don't need anything. We just want to know that we're not overstepping our boundaries. We want to, you probably see us around, talking to community members, get signatures, and we'll be doing what we can on our end. If we need you all, we'll be definitely in contact.
I appreciate you all reaching out to us, and Glad you're a part of this community, trying to make great things happen in Helena. And these surrounding
Thank you.
areas.
Thank
All
you.
So,
Man, we passed out copies of the animal control proposed ordinance, and I don't know if that's something the council wants to try to go through tonight, but Ms. Floric is here and she's, I'm sure, wondered what she requested is she could talk about part of it tonight and split it up and talk about part of it another time. So however you all want to proceed, I just wanted to share that tidbit. And
We need time to guide it, actually. Look at old Brock.
I know that y'all got, hello, thank you for letting me talk. I'm Beth Floric, Animal Control. I know that y'all might have gotten a copy of that in the last meetings, minutes and stuff. And I asked for a copy of it too, to be able to go through it, to see if it really was going to be able to reflect what would be the best effort for what we have here in Helena. And there are several pieces and parts that just need some tweaking in this general ordinance, but there's some other things that we need to talk about. And I know that there's been a great concern expressed to me, and I'm sure maybe expressed to some of you, regarding no kill versus euthanasia for our shelter here. My understanding in the beginning of this was that when the money was offered from Kathy Bissell to be part of the grant money to get us off the ground to have the building, and a gentleman's agreement was made between the prior mayor and Ms. Bissell on it being a no-kill shelter, with the idea that the Bissell Corporation would be the main driver in helping us move the animals out of our community that needed to go to other places. The large number of litters, the large number of puppies, the cats also at some point, but just in general, because we only have a 12 slot shelter out there. And knowing that in my past life, I know just how many animals were in our community, that 12 made me blink my eyes several times when they told me it was just 12. So, but it was with the understanding that the Bissell Corporation and the all the different shelters and stuff that are available to them in the north, where at that point in time, they didn't have enough animals and were able to help several southern shelters take animals. They were going to be a fast forward to get us, that nobody would linger in the shelter unless there was some extreme circumstance related to the animal. So there was nothing ever in writing. And so now we are at a situation now where the north does not have that many open places. And we're having to really push due to, again, we're going to blame everything on COVID, but COVID really messed up the animal shelter situation across the United States, not being able to move the animals, except for so many people were at home, and all of a sudden they decided they needed cats and dogs to be with them while they worked at home. And then when their job opened back up and they went back to work, oh, I don't need this animal anymore. And they wanted a return policy to take these animals back out to the shelter that they had taken them from, and or they just dropped them off out at places. And our situation was doubled and tripled across the United States due to that. So we do not have as many stray animals now, in my eyes, as we have had in the past, but we still have a huge number of unaltered animals that are making the problem really hard for us. With between Ms. Galloway's practice and the shelter and the different people who contact us, we're getting calls every day. My dog had a litter of 12. I've got 3 dogs that don't belong to me, but they're all pregnant. What are you going to do about it? That kind of situation. So in building this ordinance, one of the things that it does talk about is spaying and neutering your animal, which I was very proud to see. The other one does address the concern y'all had about the tethering of the animals. Everybody has their dog tied to the tree in the front yard or the post on the porch. Giving really specific guidelines on how these animals can safely and humanely be restrained to keep them in their yard, but not necessarily be a yard ornament in the front yard tied to the tree. That's a good part in this ordinance. The question about euthanasia is still, it's there. Now, in discussing this with Dr. Pittman, who would be the person who would euthanize the animals for us, his outlook on this is that there would be no animals euthanized any sooner than 10 days after arrival to the shelter, because he would need to be able to know that the animal had been observed for those 10 days and know that they do not have some sort of illness or some kind of condition going on that hadn't been discovered yet. That might have to be something reported through the state, that kind of deal. So he would not even consider euthanizing a dog before 10 days is up. He has also told me in the past that he will not euthanize a healthy dog. He just won't do it. So with that as a consideration, there will be times that animals will have to be euthanized. And most of the time in my past, it has been due to extreme illness or decompensation of the animal. What I mean by that is they've been without food and water and care for so long that they have gone past the point of no return, and where it would be cruel for us to continue to try to manage the animal instead of giving it peace. There are animals that are in our community that are not nice animals, vicious dogs. Of course, everybody's interpretation of what's a vicious dog is different. But with the idea that the one dog that I've had to recently take to Dr. Pittman to be evaluated as a vicious dog actually just turned out to be a really scared dog that turned out to be a really good animal and is in a home now, being a good pet. So there are the bad dogs, though, the ones who have been fighters, the ones who have been trained to be security for their owners or their company owners, and they don't have an off switch. When they go into mode, they're going to go into mode, and whether it's a person who's trying to break in or a kid on a bicycle, there are those type of dogs that there's not going to be a question. They're going to have to be euthanized. But I would like to put out there for your consideration that we don't do an automatic, your time is up. There will be times that we have a full house, and it might not be the situation where, oh, I've got to go get 2 more dogs out of the community. I don't have any place to put them. But I don't want there to be kennel A, its time is up, and I still have 3 open places to put animals. I don't want there to be an automatic euthanization just because they've crossed that 10-day point of view, or that whatever we choose. So I just wanted to put that out there for y'all. I mean, I'm realistic. We get bombarded every day, the people who do animal care, from all of the other rescues. They're all in the South, and we're all sitting in the same position. And I do not wish anything to have to be able to have some place like the Memphis Animal Shelter or the North Little Rock Animal Shelter, where they are asked every day to euthanize anywhere from 10 to 25 animals, including litters of puppies. So I could not work in that place. But I want us to set a realistic viewpoint on this. And I tell you, I've been on both sides. The Humane Society, we thought could be beneficial as a no-kill, and it was for a good while. But there were times when we had to do it. Or animals that have been hit by cars where there's no chance of saving, then yes, we have to euthanize. But I want y'all to take this and read over it and see what you think. It does talk about tethering, and I know that is a huge issue in the South. And we would be on the forefront of a lot of communities where we limit the tethering where other places have not been able to do that. That's wonderful. We'd be on the forefront of it being a real deal where every animal would be microchipped. Cats and dogs. That would be huge because I've had 2 animals just in the last 2 days that I had to go see about. And if they had been microchipped, they could have been back in their own front yard in about 3 hours. And as a consequence, it was 3 days that their owners were searching for them. So if we really could get the mandatory microchipping to be done in this community, we would shine in the dark in the community in the South for the state of Arkansas, because that's just not something that's out there. Not very many communities can commit to that. And you would be greatly applauded for that. And the fact that these animals will all have rabies. And the Arkansas law says, if you come into the shelter and you spend any time before you can leave, if you're not claimed, before you can be adopted by somebody else or go out to another shelter, be transferred, you have to be fixed. That's our problem here. The animals are not fixed. So that would be really limiting the number of animals going back into anybody's community with not being able to be get pregnant again and continue to create the problem. So please take this paperwork and have a look over it. And if you'd like me to, I'll come back next week when you meet again, if you have room on your agenda, and we can discuss it. But thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
More questions, Ms. Ford?
Thank you.
We got a report on demolition, Mr. Valley. And the more we do, the more good we're asked to do on demolition that I'm getting. Give us this good report on demolition this weekend.
Well, the council, thanks to the council's approval of the contract waiver bidding, the contractor and the city began to remove or demolish buildings for the Helena Housing Authority. And there were 16 buildings to be demolished. There's 54 units, and we took 14 of those buildings down. And while we had the equipment in the area, there were 3 other homes that was demolished in Helena during that time period. And then since then, separately from that, in West Helena, the sanitation department and the mayor took down 2 on South Sam. So 227 South Sam at the owner's request and 249 South Sam at the owner's request. So you can tell by the address, they're close to each other. And so one of them is next door to Miss Bessie Hunt, and then the other one is next door to Miss Catherine Brown. Some of y'all may have known her as Eloise Peters. It's her mom's house on South Sam. So we took down the house, belonged to Warner Jean Henderson on South Sam, and the other one, Miss Grice out of Kentucky, asked us to take it down, but her mother was, I think it was Item A Early. It's the name she gave me. But so we took those down. So we've done about 18 or 19 in the last 3 or 4 days. We cleaned it up on Walnut. We completed one on Pecan. We're still working on Pecan, but we got a bunch of them in different stages of completion, and we're working on that. They'll be coming back to pick up the debris. You see the debris on the ground. They'll be coming back to pick that up soon and taking it to the landfill. We need to get equipment to move it in the landfill. So all that timing is going to matter, and they're coordinating that with us such that we can get it into the landfill and moved appropriately, because some of it had some asbestos concerns, but we did that. The fire department did assist in keeping those apartments with the asbestos concerns watered, wet down, so there's no dust going into the air. The rest of the apartments have been, they were asbestos free. The housing authority had the asbestos removed before they asked us to demolish them. So we don't have any asbestos concerns to my knowledge at this point. And any citizens, since people are listening, desiring that the city take down a piece for them, should contact City Hall, Mayor's Office, Code Enforcement, or somebody, and they can, we give them a quote and then make arrangements with them for that to be done. And there's a process where you do a one call before you dig to make sure you don't improperly doing the digging and stuff like that. So people can be safe. You don't have gas and lights to be concerned about. So the demolition is going well. I imagine we're going to do another couple before your next meeting. Because it's the time of the year where you can do it. When the weather is proper, you got the equipment and you got the staff.
How many houses have we tore down this year? What's the grand total?
Well, I don't know. In terms of living units, it's close to 100 living units. When you count all the housing authority things, but we've done quite a few.
And I think the council for working with us to make that happen. So you all are a part of that. Thank you all for working with this administration to make that happen. We're tearing down houses and we're coming to a neighborhood near you.
Yeah, the sanitation department has worked very well with the landfill and the street department. And certainly with the city council's authorization through budgets, through renting equipment and all the things the city council has done to help make this possible. And all of their working together is what has made it happen. The treasurer and the clerk and the purchasing officers played a vital role in all of it. Sometimes we've had equipment breakdowns and they've moved with due speed to get us the things we needed to fix that equipment and things of that nature. So everybody has a role in what's happening. It's not just one department or one person that's doing it. It's all of them that's trying to make this happen. We're still, one of our challenges is trying to overcome our employees who cut what they want to cut with the lawnmowers, not so much as cutting what they should cut. And we're trying to distinguish that. Some people say that's easy, just fire them, send them home. Well, it's not quite that easy because they've been cutting some of this stuff for years. And nobody's paying for it. It doesn't belong to the city. And you don't know it until you go and find them cutting it. And so, it's just one of those, that's one of our challenges in trying to get that done. We're trying to coordinate that with code enforcement, street sanitation, and the mayor's office as to what should be cut by whom. So we're working on that. But grass is always a challenge. We got more grass than we got equipment. Yeah. Yes, sir, Mr. St.
I traveled Springdale Road somewhere, and I noticed none of that grass on either side, and the trees are growing together.
Yes, sir.
Grass is growing on the
Yes, sir.
street.
Mr. Mayor, want to answer.
Mr. St. John, I'm glad you said that, but we have bids for that. And that's why I've been trying to get, because
It needs to be cut.
we got bids are out, people have been waiting. I don't want to move without involving you all. We got people want to do all that, but I didn't want to overstep and have people do anything and then they come back. So he did this and then consult with us, because most of our, like Mr. Valley just said, I'm out riding and our folks are cutting stuff that don't even belong to us, and then I cut what they need to cut. And Mr. Collison asked for some equipment so we can get the water band to go down these streets. But we're trying, but we got bids out for that. So that's what I was gonna go back to after I let Mr. Collins, Mr. Allen, then Mr. Chief Bell speak before we close out the meeting on these bids. So I said, can you all approve those so we can go ahead and get people where they need to be working? I don't ever want to leave you all out in the dark or anything. I want to say that I did some without telling you all. I try to make sure you all have enough paperwork to say, hey, that's why I gave you the bid several times. Our meetings have been long because, it is what it is, but we have that. I wish y'all approve it so they can go ahead and get started. The 10th Street Park is one of those as well.
Mr. St. Columbia, also the tractor that we have with the arm that sticks out, it's in the shop. Been in the shop for 30 days.
I thought I saw one the other day where that might have been the highway.
It's the highway department.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get there. We can cut stuff for it.
One like that.
While you're up there talking, her definitions and all here that they gave us tonight, this needs to be put into a ordinance, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. What we did was compile that for discussion purposes.
Yeah.
Because Ms. Harris had requested something, Ms. Miller had talked about it, and there's a lady, I can't think of her name, on Facebook who wanted us to really up our efforts in talking about that. And certainly Ms. Floyd wants some direction. So that was put together for discussion. You all will tell us how to finish it up, and we'll get it packaged up as an ordinance.
I've noticed a lot of things in here that involve legality, you know, would involve legality. So our city attorney and you and everyone needs to be involved in this thing.
Yes, sir, I'll be glad to do whatever I can.
Yeah.
And the city attorney's in Cotton Plant tonight.
Yeah.
They meet once a month, so he couldn't miss that.
We need to move forward on this. And
Yes, sir.
our process on it.
Yes, sir.
I commend you for the housing that we're tearing down. It looks good.
Yes,
You're
sir.
doing a good job on that.
Yes, sir. And I've been driving by Bernice Street. Look like they're picking up your garbage.
Yeah, they were late last week picking it up. I had to call them. They came and picked it up. And I
Yes,
appreciate
yes,
it.
sir. Yes, sir. We just don't want to get to 4 weeks no more. That's it.
Well, we're paying you enough to do the job. You can get it done.
Well, we appreciate it. Now, you ready for the next thing?
We got some more.
Yeah, we'll try to get you, well, can we get you just come and give us just a quick update so they know what's going on? I want y'all to have all the information y'all need. That's my goal. I'll take the. Yes, sir.
Don't get it.
I had them on them houses trying to working it out.
We got you on this Friday.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Chief of Staff for the council. It got so late, I thought I'd be on the next agenda for the next council meeting. But what I've handed out to you all is a graph that indicate how busy we have been from month to month, and one is from year to year. I guess the main thing is the last week, we've been very, very busy.
Yes.
We've had 4 homicides within a 5-day period. I want to applaud our officers for their diligent work and their responding to those homicides. We have made some arrests in a couple of those, and we have some good persons of interest that we're looking at. In the last night's homicide, the graph will show you that from month to month, we are, except for the busy week, we're still under the past month, and we're still performing under last year's numbers. We're doing well, but I would throw this out too. I know you all heard a lot about finances and the needs of every department that's in this city. Well, the police department is not without needs. We're working now with staff of 9, including myself, full-time police officers. We're budgeted for about 41, so we're way understaffed. And so I would just like you all to just take that under consideration as we move forward and trying to replenish the staff of the police department. That's why I said we're doing well with what we have. We're working 2 officers, 1.5 per shift, 12-hour shifts, and but we're still getting the job done. We could do better. We got some plans we're putting in place. We got some part-time guys that's pretty strong. They're aggressive, not overly aggressive, but they are legally aggressive in fighting crime. So we're looking forward to bringing those guys on board, and we're putting together some strategies to hopefully do a little bit better than what we are doing in the area of crime fighting. Are there any questions?
No questions. I have no. I just want to tell the body this. You know, he said we 41 officers what we allotted for, right? I was hoping that we can at least try to have some kind of a budget workshop or something to see how can we get that number down and move and get with those officers that we allotted for. Can we work that down to maybe like 30 to take that money and raise entry level pay so we can get officers here? If you cut down 10, if you cut down 5 officers or 7 officers, that puts us in a better place financially to say, look, we can start and give folks this coming in so we can attract better officers, at least so we can have a good staff of people so our people can get be rested because our folks was working and not getting any time, time off or anything like that. We kind of need to start meeting. This is month number 7. And I would like for us to meet to see where we are budget wise, so we can start moving things around to try to see how can we get more officers with cutting back from 41 to probably like 34, 35 to see that we can move some salaries up, cut that back because we pay a lot, right, with lot fee and overtime and all those things benefit wise. And then, we can better work with the police department. I hope that's kind of a good thing for you, Chief, that
that is that we're working on something similar to that. But let me add this, on the first of the year, we talked about cutting overtime. And we have done that. I think the city attorney, city treasurer, I don't know if you got the exact numbers, but we're probably about halfway. We spent 400,000 last year overall in the overtime. I think we're probably at 100 now. So we're under the spending in terms of salaries, and that would encompass the benefits as well. So we're on target for keeping our end of the agreement.
I have a question. Of course, I know y'all were real busy last week. Can when you need help, can you get the state to come in and help you? The state police to work. Did like on these homicides? I know you can call them in.
I
did
think
you get the help? That would,
and
an emergency like that.
I think the chief has that under control. I think sometimes we don't want to call other people in and help us. We need to try to help ourselves before we call other people in. That's the kind of thing that we've been running to. Every time we turn around, we call the state police and our folks get
when you need the help.
Right, but I understand. But right now we don't want to call anybody and want to use what we got. And if he feels overwhelmed, then we can get somebody. But right now we have the opportunity to hire some more officers to do that job, because when you call the state police in, it becomes a thing of harassment. And this, I'm not going to repeat myself, but it becomes that thing. No disrespect, it becomes that thing. When you have, we just need to get our department where we can trust the people in our department.
Let me give Mr. St. Columbia an example of our response from the state police, and we did call them and on the first homicide, but we did such a great job.
When you need help like that,
I'm trying to explain it. We did such a great job, our officers did, and they told us there's no need of us coming because you all have got this under control. You're doing the same thing that we would do.
Yeah.
Certainly, if we get bombarded with something that we cannot handle, we'll call outside resources, and they are available. State police, FBI.
Stress on our officers,
And what we're going to get
overtime.
We got open slots, we can fill them.
Yeah, all we're going to get is hiring officers. We are stressed. I'm stressed.
I think you're doing a good job. But look,
I'm tired tonight. But we're here.
That's right.
Do we have any candidates?
We got one academy candidates in school now, and we got one that we are preparing to go in the next class. And so that's just one that's available to give us 10 working officers.
Is your plan to include anything like sign-on bonuses or?
We're going to discuss that. We have just thrown that around, but we haven't had a sit down with a committee. The city treasurer and I have talked to discuss some things, and he's a very interesting guy. He got some good ideas as far as budgets. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Make us more competitive, because I know a lot of some of our regional people around us are doing a lot of stuff, and we may not be able to completely match their salaries, but at least if we can have some incentive.
Our beginning salary is $26,000. Everybody, even mom is right at 29,000. The state Department of Correction, I think this year they're going to raise their front level salaries to 31,000. And so we're going to be proposing at least above that to attract. And I like the idea of the sign-on bonuses. That sounds real attractive. So one of our biggest problems right now is retention. And if we don't do something soon, then our guys are contemplating leaving right now. The few that we do have. Matter of fact, we actually got one that left last week, went to the sheriff department. And we needed him to stay, but he made a decision to go. Our dispatchers are the same. They can't make it on the salaries that we are paying them.
How many officers do you have right now?
9.
9?
To cover this large geographical area that we live in, the 9 includes myself and 3 detectives.
And I
So
want
in
to say,
essence, we got 6 working patrol officers on the street.
we train these people. We train them. Dispatch as well. They got ACIC training, got all this training, and they leave us. Go to Little Rock, go to Marvel, go to Mariana, go to Ford City. I mean, I'm not beating us up. I just think that I would like for us to have some workshops so we can compare us to Marvel, us to Mariana, us to Ford City, and see how can we get we got 41, if we can get the number down to where we can comfortably pay. Because I think some we're working off the grant that we got. We got $1 million grant. You know, that helps, but you still have to keep the people on. We need, and I want to say this to y'all, we need to meet more. To talk about it's the summer months, we need to meet at least 2 times more so we can talk about police, fire, street, sanitation. As it heat up, we got to heat up. Not saying you all have done everything that I've asked you all to do to make this community better, and I do appreciate that. You know, you all have lives, we have children to take care of it, and I appreciate you all for bending to help me get this city on the right track. But we do. It's important that we meet at least 2 more times, because I want us to make sure that we have the police department on track. As it heat up, crime heats up, and we need to be able to see what's going on. I want y'all to know what's going on in this community. I want somebody.
As I go to my seat tonight, if I bring y'all a proposal that's under the current budget that you all have set for us, which means that there's no new money. We're working within what you have already budgeted, not going over, but as really we're going to be under what you all have proposed January 1st, 2023. Will you all go for that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it.
I mean, was it a few years ago, I had this bright idea that we would take the slots that we couldn't fill in the police department.
And they start saying we fund the police department.
Yeah, and what we would do is we would take those and use that money to put into the slots that we actually could fill.
Yes, sir.
And I woke up a few days later and the newspaper said I wanted to defund the police, and so
that's exactly what we got.
You remember that?
Just to commend you, I mean, just looking at the numbers, I mean, the stats, show the improvements, and we can tell. I mean, I can tell. I don't hear about the break-ins. I don't hear about the shootouts going on Beach Street like we used to. Unfortunately, I've had to call the police out a couple of times. And, I mean, they've been there. I mean, like in 2-3 minutes time. So I mean, I can definitely tell the difference and see the improvements.
Thank you.
I don't think we've had 20 full-time officers in
I know 12 years.
So many years, but
2007.
Yeah, we keep passing these budgets like we're gonna have 30 or 40 people on the police department. It's useless. You can take that money and just start using sign-on bonuses and increase people's pay.
But you need about 30, Mr. Anthony. You need about 30.
Yeah.
Really, you really need about 30.
I mean, but since we don't have them.
If you make the salaries attractive, we can get them. They'll leave Marvin, they'll leave Mariana, and they'll come to West Telling.
But what I thought is that if we paid the ones that we had well enough, at least we would have some retention. Cause in this day and time, nobody,
You know, the guys are working 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. That's too much.
right,
I'm responsible for their mental health as well as their physical health.
right.
And right now, we are underserving those guys in their families by constantly doing what we're doing. They've been doing it before I got here. And we really need to expedite whatever we're going to do to get these guys some relief. Their functioning is on adrenaline, really.
Right. I mean, I don't disagree with that part. It's just that the number 30 and 40 we haven't seen it.
Ms. West, 10 of those
Hmm.
40 come from the police grant. So those were
Come from what?
the police grant, it was $1 million grant to get 10 additional officers. So those 10 of those are from that. But and the grant reimburses us at 75% of the cost of those officers. So that's why it's important.
Okay.
And I think part of his is to get rid of some of ours and to retain those. I think we have to, the grant is for 3 years, and then after that, we have to.
We have to pay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I just remember we had about, at that time, we had, it was reported that we had 20 or 25, but when we got the roster, it had like 11 people on it.
Yeah.
And then they said, but we hired another 10 people, and then there was like 16. And so are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I seem a little bitter about it, I am. I mean,
I think
it was stupid. We had a roster that had people on it, and it didn't. We never had 25 or 30. So the idea was, let's try to retain the people that we have by bumping up the pay. But it turned into a big game, and we didn't keep it.
I think it'll work now since we have new leadership and somebody who is holding those officers accountable. I think everything we're doing now will work better because everybody's in place to want to see this city in a good space. So I think because from demo to everything else, water, everything, we are on the right track. The train is moving.
That's right. I need somebody to come when I call.
So I think Mr. Valdman, I think we're out of time, but I'm gonna ask again, the grass cutting bids. I'm gonna have them on the table next meeting. Because now I'm just gonna say this: the people who are cutting the grass, I'm allow some folks to cut because we have the parks. All these things have to be cut. But I want you all to kind of next meeting. Hope you all approve these bids because I allow these people to cut, and I don't want it to come back that I overstep you all. So I just want to make sure that you all know that these, we got swim camp over here. We got a feeding out here at Water Sims, the River Park. Miss Ed has worked with me on getting things done. I don't want to overstep anybody. So I was giving lead y'all out. Yeah. Time is, I got it. Got those two. These two, Mr. Roosevelt and Mr. Allen. They got something I want to tell y'all. This is the last thing that's on the agenda.
All right, good evening. How y'all doing? All right. You talking about the grass? You talking about cutting it? We can solve it tonight. That's the bad mower, the two tractors bad mower. The one that I had given y'all. I got a copy of.
I remember that.
Okay. This is the mower. And this is the tractor.
Is that the side mower?
Right, they cut in the side. They run around the tractor, but it's out, it's a back mower, it goes down like a side truck. And there was one that it was $144,120, and the down payment was $25,000. And the monthly payment was almost $2,000 a month.
Mayor Franklin, is that one of the trucks we were trying to get, didn't get a bond to purchase all of them together?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna start working on. So those are the things that we're gonna try to keep, car trucks and things at the landfill. Working to see if we can get something packaged together.
Yeah.
So.
And we have one note.
Right, so
I thought we had a more.
We did. No. We did. Last year, a lot of stuff was on lease, right, Ms. Rams? And when the lease was up, the former administration decided to let it go back, and it did. It was a brand new, it was new. Ms. Ramsey tried.
We got a new.
Well, no, we did. The lease was up. Ms. Ramsey asked to keep it, but nobody would go with her to keep it because it was.
Did it cut sideways too, trees
Yeah,
and stuff?
but after.
I saw those advertised.
Yeah, but after the lease was up, am I right, Ms. Ramsey? After the lease was up, it went back, and I think somebody bought it for $5,000 because we had it for so long. After the lease was up. Yeah.
Great.
Ms. Sand tried to tell her, but I think at that time it was summertime, and election was getting up, and they told her to be quiet. So, gentlemen, we're gonna get all this stuff together. We're working on something. We're gonna get it. Just give us just a minute. I know y'all anxious for your Christmas list, but right now let us get some stuff on paper, see what can we afford. We don't want to have our treasury clerk overwhelmed because they're overwhelmed right now. They give me that look, but we're gonna try to make sure we take care of y'all issues. Give us a couple of days. We're gonna take care of you. A couple of days, I promise you. We're working. This council is working to do everything that y'all need to get done, and we're working.
On record, couple of days.
Couple of days. It may be a month with me, but a couple of days is gonna work. So, Ms. St. Columbia?
We're adjourned.
That's adjourned. Thank you all. And listen, I want to tell all y'all, thank you.